장관님께서 이제 어제 오후에 오늘 기자회견을 하자라고 말씀을 주셔서 동의를 덜컥 했는데 아무 준비가 안 돼 있는 상태예요. 그래서 어제 밤 10시부터 준비를 해서 성명서를 우리말, 그 다음에 일본어 누가 도와주셔서 또 오늘 영어 오전까지 해서 간신히 마쳤습니다. 이게 국제적인 사안이기 때문에 우리말만 가지고 성명을 하는 것은 별 의미가 없어서 셋을 다 했습니다. 조금 뒤로 하시더라도 또 제 발음이 별로 좋지 않더라도 참아주시기 바랍니다. Stop anti-Japanese agitation. Put forward the proof of the usage. The Japanese government has changed the process of trading AHF, anhydrous hydrofluorine, and fluorine polyamide, and extreme ultraviolet photoresistant into each transaction-based screening from the quite exceptional comprehensive permission when Korean companies import those materials. Now Korean importers has to prove they have handled these materials properly for each transaction. These materials are used for state-of-art semiconductors, printed circuit boards, or foldable phones, which are the bread and butter for Korean economy. And Japanese companies are dominating the production of these materials. The Moon administration has defined this as economic revenge for the recent diplomatic tension between the two countries. The ruling party has called it the destruction of the free trade system. The opposition party is silent, fearing it would be stigmatized as pro-Japanese. Many of these learned are jumping in this prosperous business of attacking Japan. The so-called conservative big media is amplifying anti-Japanese sentiment. Koreans are suffering from the siege of hysteria, hate Japan and anything Japanese. We need to get clear-headed. The Japanese policy change does not imply anything near stopping the export of those materials. What the Japanese government is saying is, Abe himself is, these materials are strategic and can be used for WMD production. Korean government has lost the control and some quantities seem to be illegally smuggled to North Korea. Even if Korean government would promise tighter control, we cannot trust them because, as in the case of the ridiculous decision by the Korean government to force Japanese companies to compensate for getting allocated and hiring drafted Korean laborers during the Pacific War. In fact, Moon administration has been very sloppy about controlling these potentially fatal materials. In its first year in power, that is 2017, there were 60 times higher cases of illegally exporting materials defined as to be controlled strategically by the international community. In 2017 and 2018, there are 14 cases of illegal export of materials which can be used for nuclear weapons. And also during this period, the total amount of biochemical weapon-related material export violation increased 8 times. Even the so-called conservative big media has been arguing that there is no possibility of these Japanese products illegally routed to North Korea. They have said that Japanese materials are too expensive and too high quality to be used for WMD production. They seem to have distorted experts' comments. However, North Korea has the record of trying to import Japanese AHF for sarin gas manufacturing in 1996. And AHF is a vital material for making uranium hexafluoride UF6, which is the feedstock for uranium gas centrifuge enrichment. Truly, Japanese AHF is very expensive and over specification for uranium enrichment. But what if the Chinese supply has been cut off? What if the North Koreans' pathetic obsession has created a strange but very effective way of enrichment which requires very high-grade AHF? What if the totalitarian cult has sanctified nuclear arms as their version of cross so much that they prefer impeccable AHF like the of Mother Mary? We Koreans need to get clear-headed. The media should tell the truth. Politicians should understand the seriousness of the situation. Fortunately, the Japanese government clarified the reason of the policy change. Some portions of the materials seem to have reached North Korea. We will control each transaction. Now, the ball is in the Korean side of the court. We only need to do a very simple action to present truthful audit log of the usage of the imported materials. If nothing has been illegally routed to North Korea, this is a paranoid case of Japanese government. On the contrary, if some or large portions are missing, South Korea is nothing but a paradise for spies. Facts are tough. Follow the money and follow the materials. Moon government should stop pumping up anti-Japanese hysteria. Big media should stop playing the battle bugle. The opposition politicians should shout, follow the materials. If the Japanese accusation is truthful, we need to destroy the moon power. If the accusation turns out to be groundless, we will force the Japanese government to apologize. We welcome the Japanese resolve to control the strategic materials out of North Korea. For the last 71 years, since the birth of Republic of Korea, Japan rarely has taken any serious measures against North Korea. As Ms. Clinton has said in a speech in 2013, even many of US governments did not prefer the unification of the Korean Peninsula. That implies they preferred the totalitarian cult to go on forever, since any liberalization inevitably would result in the total collapse of the totalitarian system of any kind. That is because of the very existence of South Korea. The South has put the North in a toggle mode, either the most heinous totalitarian cult or the total liberalization, no spectrum in between. As many of the former US governments, the Japanese government also might have preferred the division of the Korean Peninsula, that is, the existence of the totalitarian cult in the North. The resolve to control strategic materials out of North Korea shows that this preference has withered. In the sense, whether the accusation is truthful or not, we welcome this fundamental change of the Japanese policy with regard to liberalization of North Korea. One very painful evidence of the traditional preference for the existence of the totalitarian cult in North Korea is the 25 years of abetting the emigration of Koreans living in Japan to North Korea. From 1959 to 1984, nearly 100,000 of these half-Japanese people moved to North Korea and ended up in tragic fate. Allegorically, we can call this policy as collaboration with the most terrifying totalitarian cult. Now Japan is moving very fast away from the traditional preference for the division, for the totalitarian cult's presence. The first evidence of this change of policy toward the three strategic materials. Are Koreans and Japanese able to define and start true partnership? Can this accusation paradoxically open the opportunity? All's well that ends well. No matter what the truth is, the intention and resolve of the Japanese government will greatly contribute the total liberalization of the whole East Asia. Whether Koreans are temporarily suffering from groundless anti-Japanese sentiment or the Japanese are making a false accusation, the tide of freedom will sweep anything totalitarian from this land and East Asia.